So this discourse, for those who are here for the first time, this discourse is called the Anapanasati, which is the mindfulness of the breathing, mindfulness of the breath. And this discourse, Buddha explains different stages of a breathing meditation, up to the 16 stages. And this is 16 stages as a pair, so that means 32 stages. Okay, 32 stages of the breathing meditation. And within this discourse that we have been working on and spent previous sessions regularly, and now we are on the 8th. So that's the next page. He trains himself to breathe in calming mental processes and to breathe out calming mental processes. And here, last 2 weeks, I've been explaining about how to calm the mental processes. In particular, last week, I explained, and we also read another supporting discourse to understand that how to calm this mental formation. So first of all, we have to understand that a mental formation, in order to form a mind, we have to have a two. Right? So that's the feeling and perception, right? Feeling and perception creates the mind. And now we are contemplating on how to quieten this mind, how to quieten this formation of this mind. And then we spend a lot of time on the feeling, on the feeling, that how to quieten this feeling. But we haven't much discussed on the perception, or the sanya, which is the second part of it. So to understand this perception, now we have to understand one thing. Whatever we feel, we perceive it. The moment our awareness on that feeling, so we perceive it as this feeling I am having. So that a perception is there. And then whatever we perceive, what we normally do, we think about it. Whatever we perceive, we think about it. And whatever we think, we contemplate on it. We ponder on it. We think on that. Furthermore, whether that is good, bad, want, not, don't want, like, dislike, pleasure, not pleasure, goes on. And that is called, in a Buddhist term, it's called papancha. Have you ever come across with this word? Papancha. Okay. It's one of the hard one to translate. But the good simile I can give you is like there is a saying, you are running like a head and chicken. Right? Is that right?
Headless chicken.
Headless chicken. You are running like a headless chicken. And like that. So you are running and thinking and thinking. And another simile is like you are in a mill of thought. Mill of thought. You're creating thought after another, creating again and again, non-stop. Now you can ask yourself, are you the one like that? Endless thinking. And then, now if you are mindful, then what happens? The moment when you know that I am thinking, that mill stops. You're not running, you're not chasing after that thinking. Right? So, practice of a mindfulness meditation is to recognize that I am thinking. The moment when you say I am thinking, then that stops. Alright? But the problem is, because we are not skilled yet, that stopping doesn't last long. We straight away take another. We straight away create something else again and again, and it moves on like that. Right? So to support this, again, rather than me explaining, I want to read another discourse. Okay, so if you want to read another, there are three, or at least two discourses comes. One is in Digha Nikaya, okay, the long discourses. It's called a Sakkapanha Sutta, the question of the Lord Indra, Sakka. Okay, in that section, in that discourse, there is a section called dealing with the feelings. Dealing with the feelings, and here explains how our feeling processes towards the creating of a liking and disliking, and then creating into the further on causing happiness and unhappiness, like that, and then how to stop that. So that's the question asked by the Lord Indra, king of the gods. Okay? And then the Buddha explained on that. So that's the Digha Nikaya, Sakkapanha, I think is a 21. The another one that I want to read is from the middle length discourse. Okay? And I just checked it and before this. It's It's 18. Right? It's called Madhupindika Sutta. Have you ever heard Madhupindika Sutta? So this translation is the discourse on a honey bowl. Okay? So Madhupindika Sutta. The reason I picked up this sutta, because it explains how our thought process creates further on and how to stop. Okay? And in this honey bowl discourse, touches more on a perception, how this perception arises. Okay? And this discourse actually a combination of the Buddha and Kaccayana 201. Like last week I say the different discourse and explain different one. So this is initially Buddha met with a gentleman who asked about the conflict, and then Buddha explained this gentleman the cause of the conflict, and then the same story that the Buddha come across with this gentleman and discussion, Buddha told certain monks in the monastery. Okay, certain monks in the monastery, but Buddha didn't explain in detail. So these monks puzzled what that mean. So then they went to see this Venerable Kaccayana, right? Venerable Kaccayana, and this Venerable Kaccayana is was one of the great elaborator, one who could explain very detailedly, like similar to another monk Sariputta, who was the same similar to the Buddha in terms of the knowledge. And then all the monks, those who heard, when the Buddha was there, they felt what an amazing teaching that the Buddha gave, and they were just thinking of it, despite of knowing exact what that means. and didn't ask to the Buddha. When nobody asked, the Buddha simply left. And after Buddha left, they puzzled again. Oh, we should have asked the detailed explanation of this one. Then they thought of whom should we go to ask. Then this Venerable Kachayana, so they approached to the Venerable Kachayana and then asked the question. And then Venerable Kachayana gives a simile, a very interesting simile, like in a way indirectly telling them off. Saying that, oh, somebody wants to find the hardwood, and it goes on to finding, and then after seeing the tree, rather than taking the hardwood, taking the branches and the leaves, and then coming to and thinking that these are the one. And then the Buddha, Kachayana said, basically the simile was, you met the hardwood, but you didn't take the hardwood, but taken only branches and leaves, and now you come to me. Like that. So, and then, but however, he was also very kind, and then he explains further on that. So this is the discourse on that. Okay, this is quite a long one as well. Okay.
What is the name, you said?
This is Madhupindika Sutta, honey bowl. Okay, so 18, Majjhima Nikaya 18.
And what is 21, you said?
21 is a Sakkapanna from Digha Nikaya. But not this entire discourse is not on that, but you have to just go and find out only the section on the feelings and perception. Right?
What is 21, you said?
Sakkapanna. Okay, so okay. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living in a Sakyan country in Kapilavastu in Nigrodha's park. So the Kapilavastu was his hometown, and he was visiting. And a Nigrodha park, a Nigrodha Ram, actually that was a monastery built by his relatives, and the remains are still there. You can go and visit that as well. Then when it was morning, the Blessed One dressed and taking his bowl and outer robe, went into Kapilavastu for alms. So when he had wandered for alms in Kapilavastu and had returned from his alms round, after his meal he went to the great wood for the day abiding, and entering the great wood sat down at the root of a tree for the daily abiding. Right? This is also known as a Mahavana. This is the place also, one of the very famous, another discourse. It's called the Mahasamaya Sutta, also was given here. One of the very long and very and one of the discourses that the celestial beings love it. Right? So that's called a Mahasamaya. Okay? That's also in this park. Dandapani, the Sakyan, while walking and wandering for exercise, also went to the great wood. Now, remember, it is not just now the walking for in the morning, walking for the health. Even those days when you are getting older, so you are going for the exercise in the morning with the stick in your hand. So Dandapani means a person who has got a stick in his hand. So he was walking in the woods for exercise. And then he met the Buddha. Okay? So, where are we? And also went to the great wood, and when he had entered the great wood, he went to the scholar Bilva sapling, where the Blessed One was and exchanged greetings with him. When this courteous and amiable talk was finished, he stood at one side, leaning on his stick, and asked the Blessed One, "What does the reckless assert? What does he proclaim?" So he was asking a bold question. What do you teach, basically? So he's asking to the Buddha, what do you teach? Okay? And then the commentary says, so he was leaning this way and then asked the question, what do you teach? And after that he moves his this stick towards there and then leans like this to listen the answer. Okay? And then the Buddha said, "Friend, I assert and proclaim in such a way that one does not quarrel. Okay? One does not quarrel with anyone in the world, with its gods, its maras, and its Brahmins. In this generation, with its reckless and Brahmins, its princes, and its people, in such a way that perceptions no more underline that Brahmin who abides detached from essential pleasures, without perplexity, sown of a worry, free from craving for any kind of a being." Right? So he said that. Do you understand what does it mean? Huh? Do you understand? So when this was said, Dandapani, the Sakyan, shook his head. Shook his head, wagged his tongue, and raised his eyebrows until his forehead was puckered in 3 lines. 3 lines. Then he departed, leaning on his stick. Right? So what is the cause of a quarrel that we are facing nowadays? Or you can think of quarrel, fighting. What is the cause of that fighting?
Thoughts. You're fighting with your thoughts.
You can think of what is the cause of the fighting or quarreling, conflicts.
Desire, cravings,
Expectation.
Right? What else?
The greediness for power.
Greediness, okay. What else? What else you can think of? Disagreement. Power, and then this discourse actually explains about these quarrels and conflict, and the root cause of that quarrel and conflicts that we are facing. We can ask ourselves. You can think of yourself whenever you have a dispute or disagreement with somebody, someone, on some agenda, some issues. Why? Ask yourself why. Why I disagree.
You try to entertain that in our mind.
Entertain in your mind.
It's manya.
Conceit. Now, okay, current issue. I bring you so you can think of that current issue between Israel and Palestine. Okay.
Yeah.
Your perception. Okay, what do you think of that cause of the quarrel?
USA.
So why do you think the USA?
Their perception, I think. They think that.
Vinny, why do you think the USA?
Because they want another, this Suez Canal was the problem, and they want to dig another canal.
How do you know?
Guess what's the history?
History. Okay?
Yeah, because the US, at the beginning, the Suez Canal in the power of UK, France, Germany, and then later Egypt government, they deny.
And what about this movement of a separation, Scotland and England?
I believe, identity.
Yeah, belief, identity. Yeah. What else?
But also probably prejudice.
Prejudice.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
fear of stranger, like
Okay. Nara? Not sure.
Ego.
Ego?
Separation.
Vinit? Cesar? Why do you think you have a conflict with somebody?
You got a small piece.
Yeah.
Big piece.
That's yeah.
Now, let's say, think about Ukraine and Russia.
if we treat everyone with equity and equality,
Why should we treat equally?
so the other person doesn't get mad.
See, whatever you're saying, okay, whatever you're saying is like the results. You haven't gone to the root cause of it.
Yeah.
Root cause is America.
Is a desire?
Desire?
Craving, power.
Still, desire is still the outcome, not the root cause yet.
Ignorance.
How do you desire? What is the cause of the desire?
Wrong thoughts. The mind.
Mind. Thoughts. Okay? Where is this thought coming from? Mind. Remember, one mind to arise, what do we need?
Three things.
What do we need?
Perception.
Three things.
One mind to arise, how many things do we need?
Three things.
Memory.
Object.
An awareness and object.
Awareness and object. Who else?
Memory.
Memory. And then?
Touch, splash. You have to.
We have been talking about it.
Perception.
Mental formation.
Yeah.
How this mind arises.
Yeah.
Okay? And I have also said, in order to arise one mind, we have two things. Feelings and perceptions.
Oh, okay.
Right? Feelings and perceptions. Now, feeling arose because we hear the news of Israel and Hamas. Israel and Palestine's war. We hear news. Okay, it doesn't matter how you hear this news, whether you hear news or you read it. And based on the information that you have accumulated, right? Based on that, you're adding your feelings, your understanding, your experiences in it. And in whole, this is known as perception. You're adding perception to it. Okay? And with that, what happens? You are defining it into your own desire. I wish it is this and it is that. I like. Do's and don'ts. Like and don't like. Okay? So this will tell you from here. Okay? And how to finish or how to end this quarrel, the practice of a meditation helps you to recognize these processes, and before it transform it into liking and disliking, pleasure and displeasure, you become a neutral. Seeing just as seeing, knowing just as knowing, hearing just a hearing. You do not put any perception to it at all. Right? And then with that, there is no thought process. Right? You are not defining this is good, this is bad. And that's how this the conflict ends. Okay? So let me go through this. Okay, so now first of all, you understand quarrel comes from our own perception to the certain things that we come across. And the certain things that are come across is basically, that is known as a feeling. So we hear something, and that's how the spark comes. And that spark is feeling.
So we are being biased on.
We are biased from our own experiences, what we know, and we defined it. And then when we defined it, somebody against with it, we put self in it. What I know is the right, not what you are saying. And that's how conflict begins. Okay? So this I comes later. The moment when you attach to your view. The moment when you are thinking that what I'm thinking is right or wrong. That moment, you project yourself that this is me. I am thinking, and this is what I think is the right. And then, when somebody against with it, you are wrong. Yeah? You are wrong. And then if they kind of a protest, you would try to suppress in any ways and any different activities. Simply to get the power over. Saying that I am the one who is right, not you. And that's exactly happening. All the quarrels, all the wars, that's happening. Right? Because I think you are doing wrong. So I am looking from my understanding and defining what you should be doing. Like that. So this is coming from here. And how to quieten the quarrel. Okay. Rather than my comments, let's go. Okay. Then, when it was evening, the Blessed One rose from meditation and went to the Nigroda's park, where he sat down on a seat made ready for him and told the bhikkhus what had taken place. Then a certain bhikkhus asked the Blessed One, "But Venerable Sir, how does the Blessed One assert and proclaim in such a way that he does not quarrel with anyone in the world, with its gods, its maras, its brahmas, in this generation with its recluses and brahmins, its princes and its people? And Venerable Sir, how is it that perception no more underline the Blessed One, the Brahmin who abides detached from essential pleasures, without perplexity, shorn of worry, free from craving for any kinds of a being?" Remember, it starts from perception. Okay? When you have a perception, you have essential pleasures, and defining into liking and disliking. Okay? And then the Buddha further said, "Because as to the source through which perceptions and notion, mental proliferation beset a man, if nothing is found there to delight in, welcome and hold to, this is the end of the underlying tendency to lust, of the underlying tendency to the aversion, of the underlying tendency to the views, of the underlying tendency to doubt, of the underlying tendency to the conceit, desire of a being, ignorance, and then this is the end of resorting to rods and weapons, of quarrels, disputes, recrimination, malicious words, and false speech. Here, these evil, unwholesome states ceases without remainder. Okay? So this starts from simply saying that as to the source through which perceptions and a notion mental proliferation beset a man. What does it mean? So perception, his perception is ceased there. When there is no perception, you just settle there, and with that settling, you are not proliferating further on. You are not exaggerating further on. And with that not exaggerating, what happens?
Sanya, isn't it like that? Sanya and Sankhara.
There is no sankhara. There is sanya arises and you stop there. You are not perception. When you have a perception, you are stopping there. You are not creating further on. When you are not creating further on, then all other things just settles, ends. Right? And the problem that we are having is we cannot stop there. We hear, we put our understanding, our perception, whatever we have understood about this, and then we defined it. And that defining basically based on this is what I know and this is what I am. Right? And that's how creates the
So that is sankhara.
That's a sankhara.
Mental.
How do you define sankhara?
Sankhara is creating. So you are engaging, reacting to this perception.
Mental. What's that word? Mental proliferation.
Mental proliferation. Okay.
That's sankhara.
Sankhara. Okay. So that. Okay. And then that is what the Blessed One said. Having said this, the Sublime One arose from his seat and went into his dwellings. Then soon after the Blessed One had gone, the bhikkhus considered, now, friends, the Blessed One has risen from his seat and gone into his dwellings after giving a summary in a brief without expounding the detailed meaning. Now, who will expound this in detail? And then they consider the Venerable Mahakachana is praised by the teacher and esteemed by his wise companion in the holy life. He is capable of expounding the detailed meaning. Suppose we went to him and asked him the meaning of this. So I'm not going to read all. Okay, I'm going to skip. Okay.
What have you said about a meaning for sankhara, bringing together and action?
Sorry?
Sankhara is the meaning for bringing together. Sankhara means no.
Sankhara means bringing together, yes.
And here you said mental proliferation.
When you are bringing together few things and then you react on it, and that is called the sankhara. Okay?
So stop at the perception.
No, not stopping at the perception. There are many different stages to stop. But this one is talking about stopping at the perception. 2 weeks ago, and 2 week sessions that we were discussing, we were stopping at the Vedana, feeling. Okay? So now we are on this discourse, it's concentrating on the perception, the memories. Okay? Our perception.
So that means it has escalated to the next level.
Yeah, yes. And this is simply to quieten our mind. Okay? So the mind quietens only the moment when this feeling and perception quiets. As long as there is a feeling which is active, okay, as long as this perception is active, then the mind is active. So you are always creating something. Okay, and the practice of a mindfulness meditation is to recognizing this a feeling and a perception as they truly are. Okay, when you recognize them as they truly are, you are not taking that feeling as me, mine. You're not taking this perception as me, mine. You just withdraw yourself. Right? You withdraw yourself from those, and then you recognizing these in its true nature, that this is not mine, this is not me, this is not I am. Simply seeing that these are conditioned, created because of my ignorance, and I put my view, I put my understanding, which is again influenced by greed, hatred and delusion, and also oftentimes fear. Right? And we define that. And that's how the mind continues. Right? Whereas when we are developing our awareness, mindfulness, what happens that we able to stop there. When it comes, we recognize that, this is coming. Right? This is coming. And it just stops. And further on, if we go with this one, next after this 8 will be another chapter starting. At this time, we are studying about vanishing or ending of the mental state. So basically calming this mind. And in the practice, what happens that as you practice, as your mind becomes so aware, when this one, let's say, perception vanishes, this vanishing perception doesn't mean that it stops there. And there is another thing arises. So you have to see the arising of another mindset as well. Another mind arises. So you have to recognize this another mind arising. It's like suppose you are chanting, or let's say not chanting, you are singing a song. Right? You are singing a song. Now you sing one line. As soon as the one line coming to the end, right? Coming to the end, and you can remember the first word of the second line. Have you ever noticed that? Have you ever noticed as soon as the first line of the last word is about to end, okay, back of the mind brings the first word of the second line. Have you ever noticed that one?
When we forget the second.
Sorry?
When we forget it only we realize it.
But if you are practicing properly, okay, if you are practicing properly and your awareness is developing in a very state like this, then you recognize that as soon as this last word is about to end, mind, it's like a blurly, it picks up the first word of the second line.
How is that happening? How is that happening?
So that's why in the practice you have to, at the moment we are noticing, or we are studying about the vanishing. So when it vanishes, the mind, and then later on we have to train to recognize it arising, because mind works so fast. As soon as one stops, another one will come in straight away. That's why it's like it's one straight line, right? One straight. If you write one straight line, it is made of millions of dots together. Okay, millions of dots coming together. And if you zoom it, then you see each dots. You can see it only when you zoom it. If you don't zoom it, you cannot see. You see only the straight line. Okay, and that exactly what's happening in our mindset. That if your mind is aware, your mind is sharp. Your awareness is so sharp. Then this mind, as soon as it vanishes, then you immediately see another one, which is just lurking.
Like Upada Titibanga, is that not?
No. So this arising, remaining, and vanishing. Okay. So each moment when it vanishes, so upada, the arising moment, already lurks in. The vaguely, it's like and appears, but you haven't fully recognized it. But as soon as the last word comes to the end, the first word of the second line becomes so clear. Similar way, when we are meditating, as soon as the perception or this perception ends, then straight away another mindset starts there, and you will be able to recognize that one.
Ajahn, when someone is working with a computer,
Yes.
suppose with a database,
Yes.
so because there's no human and it's all computer and data,
Yes.
so there's no feeling and perception.
That's what I am saying. Okay? The moment something comes to contact, right? What's happening? Contact is a feeling. Yeah? Something is coming together is a feeling. And then when you enter, what happens? It goes and finds out whatever information it has. Okay? AI, right? Whatever information it has, and that's so close to it, then it brings in. It brings in to the light. But if that information is not saved in the computer, doesn't matter how hard you try, it won't give you the answer. Right? Exactly, that's happening here. So perception is like all the memory bank you have saved from whatever ways you have saved it. Past experiences, past knowledges that you have accumulated. So that is like you are putting the information into AI. Okay? And now you key, so 1, and then it will search. Once it's searched, you know it stops there. Finished. Okay? Finished. And then what is happening here, we are not finishing there. We want to more, we want more. That's how we continue having interaction, continue interacting. And with that, what's happening? We are not just trying to find out the old information that's saved, but also we are creating new information. Right? We are adding new information based on the feeling that we have now and information that we have collected, and you are creating new out of these two. Right? And that is called new creation, that you are creating, and that is continuous.
Does this mean that if we become aware of perception, let's say the perception of ourselves, if we become aware, then our perception of ourselves changes towards being more the true self, or
it won't change.
Okay.
Because it's already there.
Okay.
But your perception to that perception will change.
Okay.
Right? You cannot change which is already exist. But your reaction or your perception to that existing information will change, and that actually stops. Right? And here goes on actually saying the 5 senses are the main door to create the feelings, right? And when these 6 senses coming together with the 6 objects, that combination of these two, and then our awareness comes in there, then that contact fulfills. With that fulfilling of the contact, the perception comes. With the perception arising, then we think about it. And when we think about it, then we proliferate on it into liking and disliking based on what I want. Because I take that perception is me and mine. This is what I know is the real. And then we take the view that this is right. And based on that, so we take sides. And when we take a sides, obviously conflict and quarrels starts. So that is actually speaking on this discourse. So I'm not going to read. Now you can go back and read this one. Okay? So, because we already 55 now. Okay? So this is a summary is that. Okay? So there is a 6 senses coming to contact with the 6 sense objects. When the 6 sense object comes, at that moment our awareness, so we attend to it. So combination of these 3 arises the feeling. When this feeling arises, and then we put the perception onto that feeling. When we put the perception onto that feeling, and then we spend time on that. So that's why it says, whatever we feel, we perceive it. Whatever we perceive it, we think about it. Whatever we think about it, then we proliferate on it. And that is the root cause of the troubles. And the practice of a meditation is to recognize, doesn't matter where in this process. The moment when you know exactly this is happening, and that's ends happen there. It simply stops there. It simply stops there. Because you have fully understood that this is happening and this is not me and mine. I am not this. This is just the condition created, and ends there. Okay? So I stop here, and you can go back and read this course called Madhupindika Sutta or Honey Bowl. Okay? Alright, any other question or anything you want to ask? If not, then let's practice loving kindness meditation to finish up. Okay, sitting in a comfortable position, relax yourself and spend some time observing the breath. And spend some time reflecting on today's discourse. Now we'll practice loving kindness meditation, so bring your attention to observe the feelings in your body. Whatever feelings in your body, be aware of it. And bring that attention to your hands. So feel the sensations in your hand. Shifting that attention to your heart. And feel the beating heart. You may take a long deep breath to feel the beating heart, or you may put your hand on the chest, or smiling, physically smiling, to feel the connection with your heart. And as you feel the connection with your heart, generating loving kindness and compassion to yourself, allowing yourself to be happy, at peace, and free from suffering. And mentally you may recite as you spread your loving thoughts to yourself. I am well, I am happy, I am at peace. We often forget to share these loving thoughts to ourselves. So this is an opportunity to share it to yourself. I am well, I am happy, I am at peace. May I be liberated, liberated. Similarly, sharing loving kindness and compassion to all other sentient beings, starting from near dear one, or any particular person that you think that they need at this time. So bring into your mind of that person and sharing these loving thoughts. May you be well, may you be happy, may you be at peace, may you be free from suffering. May you be liberated, liberated. And expanding it to all other sentient beings, far and wide, whatever beings there are, visible and invisible beings in this room, in this city, in this country, on earth, in the universe. Whatever beings there are, may they be happy, may they be at peace, may they be free from suffering, may they be liberated, liberated. Bring your attention back to your hands. Feel the sensations in your hands and to your body. Feel the sensations in your body. and to your eyes. Feel the tensions in your eyes. And generating intention to open your eyes as you hear the gong. And reflect for a few moments.